So, hello everyone, good evening. We have Murtaza with us, right? Yes.
Good
Hey,
evening.
yeah,
Hi,
morning.
good. What about you?
Good morning, Rhea.
Yeah. So, we'll be talking about what UI UX is like, basically from his perspective, right? And what he does, what his organization does, and what are the few things that they look into candidates when it comes to getting a job and placements and everything. Of course, you'll be getting a lot of insights when it comes to the international job market. And when whatever questions you have when it comes to getting a job internationally, make sure you get it cleared here, right? So we have like an interactive session. I don't want this to be just one-way communication from him, but rather than that, it should be a two-way communication and interaction from both the sides, right? So yeah, I guess Murtaza, we can start with your introduction and about the few agenda points which I shared. Then we can
Yeah,
go Q&A.
yeah. Start off with so guys, I haven't done much prep. Also new to this, so I don't usually do. I've not usually done too many of these kind of class introductions and stuff before. So uh, I'm hoping, yeah, it will be more of a collaborative session, majority of it, so that you all can ask questions and clear your doubts, especially any limiting beliefs and stuff. You all can ask me, and then essentially we can break those beliefs. That would be very useful, I think, for students mainly. Yeah, then from a perspective of who I am, what I do. So I essentially um, currently am the CEO and founder of a design consultancy in Dubai, and we also do a bit of app and website development and digital marketing. And how I got into this is essentially, I think I've been in the field for 5 or 6 years, and I have zero background experience in design. So essentially, I came from a commerce background where I studied commerce, and then I essentially did like a master's in finance and business administration and stuff. And my first job was like I was essentially working for a hedge fund while I was studying in college. And in the beginning, the idea was definitely to go into finance and banking and all of that as a field. But that's when my sister essentially got into UX. So she had studied psychology and stuff. And then I started observing what she's doing and how interesting her field is. And I then basically decided, okay, especially since I'm living in India as well, working in IT does pay you much better than average. So that's when I decided, okay, I want to get into IT. And then I started applying to a lot of UX design companies and stuff. I started learning online, right? Updating my knowledge, all of that. Started doing a few small projects for a few small businesses, all of that, got that on my portfolio, right? Applied to a lot of, I would say, a few jobs for UX design, got rejected, in a junior position. And then finally, one company gave me like a shot. So obviously, after multiple large interview rounds, and even after I passed their regular interview rounds, because I had zero experience in design and all, they basically gave me another week to learn all the tools and make my idea and my design solution into an actual solution, right? An actual design, which I did, and then I passed that also. And then they essentially, so it was a long interview process. It was one whole day at the site, and then after they were happy with that, there was another week long project which also I did, uh, and that's when I essentially got my first job, and that was in UX design. And basically, after seeing my sister in this field, I decided, okay, let me get into UX design, because originally the plan was UX design will be my way to break into IT. I didn't really want to do UX design. I wanted to then start coding and become a developer and all of that. But yeah, then first project I got to do UX design essentially was very eye-opening, because I think my first question to the founder of the company, whole company, who was kind of mentoring me was, okay, we have this client, and they have given us their digital product to design. So what are the limitations, and like what are we allowed to touch and what are we not allowed to touch? Um, what can we change and what can we not change? And his response was basically that there's no limitations. Like anything we can improve, we can change. So we can suggest and redesign any part of their digital business. That's when I was, super shocked, and that kind of changed my perspective, because now I saw UX design as essentially designing the complete business, as opposed to just we are designers, right? You're essentially creating the entire digital business. The entire business is being created by you as a designer. And what I saw over there really was the amount of power that is given to a designer, right? As opposed to, say, if I was a developer, in my perspective, I saw this being a more powerful role where you can make more business decisions and learn more about how business works, and then help other people create businesses and then create your own business maybe in the future, right? That's when I really got hooked onto UX design, when I saw, okay, you have all the decision making power. And yeah, after that, I think a few excellent years at that company that I was working with, which I got extremely lucky with, got to work with some really large clients and really great mentors. So got to work with, in India at least, ICICI Bank, IDFC First Bank, designed their apps and websites and stuff. And yeah, a lot of other South African companies and a few other companies around the world. And after that, I essentially transferred to kind of a product company, a startup, a funded startup, where I worked on that for a while. And yeah, after my itch for working with a product company and seeing that perspective of the uh, UX design field was kind of satiated, I was on a break. I was kind of doing a few contracts and all of that. And after that, yeah, basically uh, explored Dubai on one of my projects, and then decided it's time for me to start my own company and build things for clients, following my perspective, and especially with my small, I would say, edge that I have in finance and accounts and business, due to my background and education and stuff. I was essentially able to give like a unique perspective, right? So a lot of people think that if you have like a design role, it'll be easier for you. But I genuinely think if you come from a different field, you probably have advantage. So especially if you are willing to kind of focus in a particular industry. So like if you have like a background in accounts and you kind of get into, yeah, banking, accounting and stuff, you would probably be a much better designer in that field, and you would have a big edge opposed to other designers, because you will be able to have much better communication with the business stakeholders and all. And the business stakeholders will love it, that the fact that you understand technical terms and complicated issues that they're having. They can kind of have that conversation with you. um yeah, but basically, yeah, and that's how I ended up here, and now I started make create, and a small company now. I think it's like 7 months old, and we're growing steadily, but we're growing we're definitely growing quite a bit. And yeah, that's basically been my journey till now in UX and design. So remains to be seen where we go from now, from here. Mm. Okay, so one of the questions that I have been asked by Rehan is your understanding and experience across various aspects of UI UX. Yeah, so okay, so I'll give you all one bit of understanding that I think a lot of people confuse and don't realize. Uh, but UI UX, so like user experience design, um, the whole point of user experience design, why it came into play, was basically designers were designing things, right? And they weren't paying attention to the user, right? So what was happening was a lot of things were being built, which when the user was using it, hello, uh, yeah, if you all have questions, please chip in, right? Anytime. Um, but yeah, basically what happened was people were completely ignoring the user. They were not doing any user testing, and there were a lot of products that they would spend millions of dollars, going through the design phase, production phase, and then coming out of the product, and then finding out that, oh, it's a complete dud, like the Google Glass, right? And that's essentially where user experience design came into play, where we reduce risk by involving the users in the process so that the design has a much higher chance of success and creates a much better experience for the user as well, right? And now what has happened is, yeah, with the advent of user experience design, what's happening is now everybody is paying attention to the user 100% of the time. All the decisions are coming with user involvement. But I think the pendulum has kind of swung, and now users have become too important. Like, people depend too much on the user. So I feel like people have forgotten that this was a missing piece of the puzzle, that needed to be filled. And people found this piece of the puzzle, and they kind of lost the entire puzzle. So now people don't pay too much attention to business. They don't pay too much attention to data. They don't pay too much attention to actual proven studies. They don't pay enough attention to competitors. They don't pay enough attention to uh, other stakeholders. So yeah, I feel like from my perspective, UX design is when you design while keeping the user involved as well, but not from a perspective of, oh, the user is kind of god, because majority of the time the user also has no clue what they really want, right? You just want to make sure that you have tested this product with the user, you have gotten the user's perspective, and then you take educated guests while taking into account all the other angles as well, right? For example, things like the stakeholders, data, metrics, A/B testing, all of that. um, yeah, and that's essentially, I would say, what UX design is any kind of design where you involve the user, and there's multiple ways to involve the user. So user interviews, surveys, anything, right? But user involvement should be there, and when you design, you should be looking at things from the perspective of the user as well. um, yeah, any questions here? Any questions from anyone?
I have a question. Hi, sir. This is Ankita Das.
Yeah.
Um, so this is related to your journey. So,
Okay.
as you mentioned that you studied commerce and then you transition into UI UX after a lot of ups and downs. So I
Yeah.
wanted to, so like I am also transitioning from operations, and I don't know whether this is right to say, but earlier there might not be though that many number of UI UX designers, but currently there are so many UI UX designers. And how could you give us some pointers on how we can crack our interview, and how we can like you said that, like if you're transitioning from a different field, it gives a better impact. So how can we do that? If you could share some inputs on that.
Okay, so I think there would be few ways to do this, right? First thing is you need to identify what your field is and what is the edge you have, right? So maybe you studied HR, human resources, or maybe you have studied architecture, right? And now what is happening is essentially there are digital companies in every field, right? Maybe you've done law, right? So I think one way to crack this would be, okay, since I have this edge, let me apply to a company that specializes in this. So, like for example, there are a lot of large tech companies that say specialize, do create HR products, right? Or create accounting products, right? Or they create, say, law related products, right? So I would say you essentially build a portfolio, right, of concepts, right, where you are solving niche problems in that particular field, right? That would probably allow you to, promote those concepts to these particular niche companies, and then get an edge over, say, anyone else who's trying to apply it to these companies, right? That is one of the ways I feel you could take advantage. But from your other, I would say there's another smaller point to this, which is okay, there's so many people in the UI UX industry, right? So how do we stand out, right? I think the main way to stand out is essentially by showing more work, I would say, than other people. Like for example, there are UX designers with 5 years of experience who don't have a single case study, right? Uh, mm, there is other UX designers, like junior UX designers, who have zero case studies as well. So having some kind of concept that you can show, right, of very high quality, would definitely be the edge that you require to break in. So also, it's like, I would say all your free time should go into creating concepts and improving concepts, right? Get your concept, create a concept that's at the level of any of these uh, I would say experts who are in the public, right? Designing in the public, senior experts who have 10 to 20 years of experience, right? And then you can basically just take complete inspiration from their work and replicate something like that in your niche industry, right? What that basically does is that essentially guarantees that the at least UI quality, right, and to an extent the UX quality as well, is up to par of someone who has like 10 or 20 years of experience, right? So now you have work in your portfolio that is close to what somebody with 10, 20 years of experience would have in their portfolio, right? And you are applying besides people who are super junior and who have, created portfolios and all, say at their college or at their I don't know, maybe they've done some digital online class or something, uh, and they have essentially created their concept over there. So your concept or your whatever your case study that you've created will have a much higher quality of work compared to all the competitors, and that would probably give you an edge to stand out. And then, like I said, if you make it in a particular niche and you apply to all the digital companies in that niche, where you also have a background in that particular niche, that would probably give you a really good edge at getting chosen in on one of these teams. Does that answer your question, or was that not clear?
Yeah, I understand.
Hi,
Okay, yeah.
hi, Murtaza. This is Radhika.
Okay, yeah, Radhika.
Hi. My question is actually along the same lines. So I
Okay.
want to know, when you were just starting out in your journey as a job hunter, when you're looking for a job as such, what kind of portfolio did you have, and what is the response of your employers to that kind of portfolio at that time?
Okay, okay. So the kind of portfolio I had, so okay. So I don't remember exactly, but I'll tell you what I remember. So I had essentially created designs and websites for a few small businesses, because that time my plan was essentially I want to become a developer and stuff. So essentially what I'd done was I had learned to code, right, a bit of front end, and I had designed these websites, and I had essentially created this framework on how to design really good products. And I had also created one or two I had also designed and created one or two designs for a few small businesses, right? And along with that, I essentially had this complete kind of business plan of how a UX design department should work, and stuff like that. So I kind of showed all of this to the first interview I got, right? And that is something that really impressed them, and they gave me the job, right? I had applied to a lot of people. I had got, I believe, one or two more interviews, right? Which I didn't take because I preferred this opportunity due to a lot of personal reasons and other. But basically, yeah, that was my portfolio. The portfolio was basically I had done two or three full scale landing page designs, right, for a few different industries. And also what happened for me was, when I gave the test, right, when I gave the test at this particular company. So like I said, this company, it was a consultancy, and as a consultancy they really specialized in banking and fintech clients, right? And the test they had like a day long test, where they essentially had this problem statement for a big Indian bank, right? And since I had that background in banking and stuff, I was able to deliver a really good solution that they were very happy with, right? And also, like, I was able to back up my solution with a lot of reasoning in the actual grilling session that they had after the actual design was created. um, but that gave me an edge. And essentially that's all my portfolio really was. um, and yeah, also, like, getting these interviews was possible for me because I had a contact, right? And I had a referral for all of these, right? So I would say getting a referral would be very helpful. Definitely, my advantage definitely was the fact that my sister had already broken into the field, right? So she helped me a lot with what should I learn, things like that. So having a mentor, having somebody in the field uh, will definitely be very helpful. Does that clear, or any I would say any doubts you had with regarding to your question that I didn't answer
No,
correctly?
no, it gives quite a bit of insight. I
Yeah.
just wanted to know that, in if I am decoding you right, I think strategic inputs matter more than anything.
Yeah, also I feel like it might make sense for you to concentrate on either UX or just the UI part if you want to break in, and then get really good at one thing, right? Especially if you want to get into larger companies, right? Depends what you are targeting, but it might be easier for you to, yeah, uh, uh, concentrate on something like that, especially when it comes to UX design jobs also, right? uh, the problem is, if you show your work, right, if you do UI, then it better be damn good, right? Because it won't matter how good the UX is if if you say you're a UX complete expert, right, and you are still visualizing your work via UI, right? UI is the primary. The person is basically going to see your work and compare it to another person who has done only UI, and they're going to pick that person, right? Yeah, I would say if you're concentrating on UX, it might make sense. If you're concentrating on a job position that is just UX relevant, it might make sense to, yeah, definitely concentrate more on metrics and yeah, strategic stuff, and improvements that you have actually made from a UX perspective.
Thanks a lot. I think that answers.
Okay, I wanted to ask a question. You said that to target into big companies, you have to specialize into, you should like choose to specialize in one field, either UX or UI. My question is, whenever looking for these big companies, if they have any vacancy out there and they are posting about it, the first thing on their requirements is that your degree or your graduation should be in this particular field, and that's mostly it is either psychology or maybe in something in IT. Belonging from like commerce department, commerce degree, how do you think we should approach them?
My one understanding is that uh, it's really because people don't have a lot of work to show, right? If you have a lot of work to show, like concepts also, uh, I don't think the company will care, right? The problem is if you're hiring really junior people, right, just out of college, um, they essentially will not have too much work, right? As a general rule, they tend to not have too much work to show, right? When that's the case, it is definitely preferred to, okay, somebody who has some relevant experience in, with like a relevant degree or something. But if you have, like, say, 10 concept designs, right, that are in a field that these companies are serving, right? They will kind of ignore that whatever terms and conditions that they have. That terms and conditions is basically just to qualify their receipts a little, right? They just want to make sure they're not getting a lot of completely irrelevant applications. But if you have a lot of work to show and all, they won't really care. I don't, especially in today's day and age, it's becoming more and more irrelevant what your education was, right? Because a person with 6 months of experience and a lot of passion and skill can completely overtake somebody who has a 4-year degree in design, especially if especially in design, because you can show your work, right? So it's very easy to, especially for a recruitment person, to basically hire the right person, to do the job by looking at the actual work. So how good you are at showing your work will essentially be the differentiator in if you can get into these companies that uh, require a design degree for sure. But I don't think it's a requirement. Like, I have never even been asked uh, after, like, my first job, I have never been asked what my degree was in. Nobody has even looked at my degree. I don't think it matters that much if you have enough work. So I would say concentrate on creating a lot of case studies, because even from my perspective, I'll talk about Make Create itself, right? We specify, like, when we hire, we specify very clearly that we really don't care about people's degrees, because there might be one really smart girl or guy who looked at like 10 YouTube videos and is able to deliver much better UI related stuff than somebody with like a college degree. Obviously, what tends to happen is somebody with 4 years of college degree and experience, will find it much easier to create designs and stuff, right? Once they have passed out. But if the college degree person does not have any work to show, and you without a college degree have work to show, the person will probably pick you. Giving you some more insights, for example, the first person we hired, right, at Make Create, we had multiple applications from like people at NID, from a lot of these different fields, like I guess they were in apparel design and all of that, and they had a 4 year degree from a premier design institution. But I was not going to risk how good they will be when it comes to actually working with me on their degree, right? Because they had no work to show. So I was not able to work with any of them. And we ended up hiring a person who basically had a background in engineering. I don't know what field of engineering. I've not even asked, because what we basically qualified on was the actual UI design work. And yeah, that was pretty good. And the performance in the test was also pretty good. But that's what qualified. So now it's, yeah, essentially, and especially when you go for more, I would say, better companies and uh, more senior roles, your education becomes more and more irrelevant, right? Like after you have 3 years of experience in a design company, nobody is going to ask you what your education was. People are going to ask you what was the design work you did. Education is important if you don't have any work to show, and you can show work by creating concepts, right? But yeah,
I'm present.
that's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's seen to be true, at least.
May I?
Hmm. Yeah, please
Yeah.
go ahead.
So, actually, with the part of UI, how important to know the HTML and CSS coding form. And the other question is, my background is a graphic designer background. So, will it be considered for UI part?
Sorry, how important is it to know what in UI?
CSS, CSS and HTML coding part.
Oh, it's not important at all for a UI design role.
Yes, for
Zero.
UI design.
Yeah, not at all required. Yeah, graphic design background is definitely helpful. But like I said, at least from my perspective, your current final output matters. So essentially, having a graphic design background should help you uh, create better UI design concepts. That's where it helps you. But do I, as a recruiter, care about your graphic design background? No, I just care about the final output. The graphic design background should essentially help your final output to be much better, right? But I would essentially still pay attention to your final concepts, right? That's how I see it.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Hi Mutija, can I pick your brain?
Yes, yes, definitely. Please.
Yeah, so this side is Suchita. I'm also a graphic designer, and from past year, 3 years, I have been working as a manager. So if I wanted to start my career as a UI UX designer, do I have to start from the ground, or I mean, see, I'm a bit confused about this, from where to start. And
Got it. And you are a graphic designer, right?
I was, and from past 3 years, I was working as a manager.
A manager for what? Managing what?
A creative services team.
Okay,
Gra-
so like graphic design manager kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, you would have to start from scratch. I don't see how you could not start from scratch, because you have to have an understanding of how things can be done. But in your case, what would most likely happen is you would be able to rise through the ranks very fast. right?
Okay.
Because the person would be able to trust you to manage a team and all, but they would need you to essentially prove that you have a good understanding of creating either either at UX design or at creating really good UI work, right? But you would have to, I feel like you would have to prove that you are good at either one of these things to get in, and then probably work and deliver good work in one of these niches of UX design to show that, okay, you have a good understanding now of how things work. And then you could probably rise through the ranks much faster. From perspective of could you skip levels and get a senior role directly? Um, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't see it's possible, right? Everything is possible. There's always like exceptions, right? But from my perspective, I don't think that would happen,
Okay.
right?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anything else?
Yeah, hi Murtuja, I have one question.
Yep. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so actually, I want to know like what recruiters actually ask to when hiring as a UX UI designer or something. So what kind of question they ask mostly?
Okay.
So
So I've not had too many interviews, right? Maybe 4 or 5, I would say, in my career. Um, from a UX design perspective, so first thing is, yeah, from a UI perspective, they will see your work, right? They will see your work. Then from a UX perspective, uh, so also, are you asking for a junior role, right?
yeah, if they're hiring fresher or for junior roles, so
Yeah.
what kind of question they will ask?
So from a junior role, right, especially if you
Right.
don't have much work to show, there
Hmm.
will there will be a lot of questioning about your actual understanding of UX design and what you think will, is good UX, right? What are the things according to you that would, improve the user experience of a digital product, right? That is something that I would like to know as a recruiter, so that I understand, how good you could be at UX design, right? Do you at least have the correct understanding so that when you are given a chance, right, to execute, you would execute in the right direction, right? Or is your understanding of UX completely off? So that I would say is one of the things that they would ask, right? Then obviously about the process, like what do you think would be the right process to ultimately deliver a product that will create good outcomes, right? Compared to say another designer, right, who does not have your process or your understanding of UX design, right? That is what essentially I would see, right? What are the things that you believe, you as a UX designer can bring to the design of a digital product that will make it better than something someone else designs, right? That's what I feel like you need to be paying attention to. So like how can, just answering these questions for yourself, to yourself, that how are you designing in a way that kind of guarantees that your designs are going to deliver really good outcomes.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Yep. Anything else? Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Murtaza. Am I audible?
Yep.
Yeah. So my question is regarding the same thing that you have been repeatedly like telling us, that if focus on one thing, either UX or UI, that's like probably a better thing to do right now for a junior role, especially. So my question was, uh, let's say I'm particularly better at UX. I'm not that proficient in UI, and
Yeah.
again I'm looking for a junior role,
Yeah.
and I'm currently making a case study where I have like researched from the product side, from the UX side, and I have done all the information architecture. I've completed the information architecture, did the user journey mapping, customer journey mapping. So the UX part is basically solidified till now. Now comes mainly the ideation part. So on Behance, if you generally see any profile of a junior designer, a visual part is basically more heavy there. And when you see it on, like, let's say Medium, UX is more glorified there or explained there. So I'm talking about the junior role, right? So if I do something like this, that I make a UX case study and I don't like make it into like high fidelity design. So is that okay if I put that thing into my main portfolio?
Um, I don't think you want to do low fidelity design. I would say then you stop at the wireframe stage of it, right? Uh, but now it's also it depends on what kind of company you're applying to, right? So larger companies will have much more clearer distinction between UI and UX, right? So from a perspective of if you're applying to a larger company, they will have probably UX and UI very separate, right? And you're applying to say a particular a UI UX design role in a UX design company, right? For a UX design specialization, right? Essentially, yeah, I would want to see a complete breakdown of the UX process till till handover to the UI designer, right? uh, because we're assuming then that you also need to be good at handing over work to the UI designer, but then I would not expect to see much UI design, right? I would expect to see more of the intricacies of the case study. So like what are the problems, how are you solving them, right? What is the final solution, right? What is the outcome of the final solution going to be, right? How much is it going to help solve this problem, right? I would pay attention to a lot of metrics. I would pay attention to the process. I would pay attention to your understanding of UX design. I would pay attention to, have you done user interviews? How have you collected information? How have you differentiated the insights and things like that, right? And then what solution have you ultimately uh, come up with to solve these insights and problems and opportunity areas? That's what I would see if I'm like hiring specifically for a junior UX design role. uh, you know um, but you might also be applying to a smaller company, right? And some smaller companies, a lot of smaller companies will want a UX UI designer all in one guy, right? In that case it might make sense for them to you to do like a really good case study and then to do a really good UI design as well. But I would say, yeah, then you probably want to have less work, like maybe concentrate on like 2 or 3 case studies but do them really good. Another thing that I have seen is uh, people have a lot of work, like they might have 10 case studies or 10 concepts, etc. But what happens over there is 4 or 5 are really good and 4 or 5 are kind of old, right? And not that good. So that what that does from the recruiter's perspective, it is now it does not give me a guarantee. It does not give me uh, uh, proof of consistency, because now I'm worried if the person's work is going to look like these 4 or 5 that are really good or these 4 or 5 that are not that good. So my opinion is you all should like completely remove anything that is not really good, and you would be better off having just 3-4 concepts that are really good in your portfolio as opposed to 10 concepts where half of them are okay but you're just showing them because, oh, you've done so much work. right? Yes, I would say definitely you all kind of need to, be okay with um, hiding bad work, right? And showing only your best work, right? Because then that gives the recruiter much more confidence. Is okay, he's created 4 things, then all of them are really good, right? From a UI design perspective of or a UX research perspective. That's what I think I would do. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Does that answer your question? I don't know if there
Yeah,
was like any clarity. Okay, cool. Oh, awesome. Yep. Anyone else? Anything else?
Hi,
Please go
Murthy.
ahead.
With this way.
Here, Mohit. Is this
So,
Mohit?
yeah.
Okay, right.
So my question is like I have done certification in UX, and then I have 3 months of experience as a UI UX designer for the internship. But still, I'm not able to get a good job. So like where I need to improve myself.
Okay, 1 second. Can you repeat? I didn't catch that exactly.
Yeah.
You have,
Am I audible?
yeah, audible. Can you repeat?
Yeah. So I'm saying like I have done 6 months of certification in UX designing, and
Okay,
then also I have 3 months of experience as a UI UX designer.
okay,
But
okay.
still I'm not able to get a good job. So like
Got it.
I'm looking for a remote job only. So maybe
Got it.
that reason I think.
Um, I mean, just from the information you have given me, right? You're saying you have done a 6 month course, right? And then you have 3 months of experience working in like a UX UI design company, right? My understanding is that the concepts are probably not that good. The work you are showing is probably not that good. I would probably just work on upgrading that, right? That's my understanding, right? The all the time you have, all the free time you have, I would say spend them on creating better work and showing and promoting that work, right? I think that's pretty much the blocker, right? Keep designing stuff till you have a lot of really good concepts, and then say when everyone's applying with like 5 good concepts and you have 15 good concepts, uh, it'll be very difficult for anyone to reject you. It won't be the smart thing to do. That's what I would do essentially. Just like double down, triple down on creating more work. Yeah, and yeah, UI design, I would say from a perspective of breaking into the field, right? And say if your main blocker is that I don't know, maybe recruiters are paying too much attention to background and stuff. I would say you just concentrate on creating really good UI design concepts, because when it comes to hiring a UI designer, uh, it depends very much on the work, right? More than a UX designer. So for a UX designer, you obviously will probably speak to them about stuff like that also. But from a UI designer perspective, if the person's UI design is really good and he has done a lot of work on UI design, um, it's uh, it's easy to build trust, right? And hire that person, no matter where they are, what their background is, what their experience is, right? Um, but yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think is probably the blocker for you, right? Because the thing is, I don't think people pay that much attention to how many certificates you have and all of that. And if they do pay attention to your certificates, then they're going to pay attention to your education, and then they're going to look at the degrees, and then they're not even going to pay attention to you for having a certification. So I think the main thing is you need to concentrate on your portfolio. Just have like a really good portfolio, right? And yeah, I would say instead of learning from people around you, just find like top 5 guys in the world and try and be inspired by their work and make something off of that, you know, learn like the latest techniques, UI design techniques and all of that, and show all of that in your concepts. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. I think that should definitely allow you to break in.
Yeah. Thanks for the suggestion. Thanks.
Yep.
Hello.
Yeah, hopefully it helps you. Yeah, anyone else? Next.
Hi, Mutaz.
Hey, hi, Harini.
Am I audible? So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just have a question for you. So recently I'm done with the UX design challenge. It's basically redesign of a homepage or landing page of NGO. So
Okay.
I'm done with that work based, showcasing that I've applied for few internships. Mostly those are unpaid internships. Since those are
Okay.
unpaid internships, like most of them are dealt with, NGO website redesign and upgradation. So I got selected for one, which is like upgradation of, one of the NGO. Will that affect in any way, like when I apply for MNCs or startups with a different niche? Since my work is like the earlier work which I had is a UX design challenge for NGO website redesign, like homepage redesign. Now I'm working with an NGO again.
Yeah. So you're saying, will it affect you when you apply to paid jobs in some other field?
Yes, exactly.
No, I don't see why it would affect. Not at all. If your work output is good, it will be a plus. It will definitely be a plus that you have some real work, right? I don't think it will be negative at all, as long as you don't end up thinking that, okay, since I have this real NGO project on my portfolio, I don't need to show that I'm good at designing anything else that might be more relevant to the industry you're applying to. So if you're, say, after this NGO thing, you're applying to some, I don't know, ed tech industry or something, you should definitely still make one or two concepts for ed tech, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you shouldn't like get lazy because you have one real project compared to all the other people who have zero projects but have 10 concepts, because then they might end up getting selected over you. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Please go ahead. Maybe I should
Yes,
go.
sir. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I had one question.
Okay.
So, like you were saying, to focus any one, yeah, either UI or UX, and I lean more towards UI. I like UI stuff, all those micro interactions and all those things. So, if I have like all this like nitty-gritty things like having a small animation, that
Yeah.
that might not like user might not even notice that, but still if I put that details into my project,
Yeah.
so if is it good to have one huge project or two or three of like a similar level but a very different background from different fields?
Okay. Um, okay. So you're saying, is it better to have one? So I'm saying, you're saying you want to concentrate on UI and you have a
Yes,
UI design concept, right?
yes.
That you're creating, and you're asking if you should have one concept, one big concept with a lot of
I
micro.
mean,
Yeah.
one huge case study
Yeah.
uh, that is very detailed, that covers
Yeah.
everything, even the UX part,
Yeah.
or have a like, one huge project that has everything, or and other two projects that is more leaned towards UI.
Okay, and you want to kind of concentrate on applying to a UI position, is what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's because that I personally enjoy that thing, and I like
Got
doing
it.
that as well.
Yeah, I would say it would definitely, like, as a recruiter, like, then I would probably want to see more UI design concepts and work. if you are applying for UI design. This, like, I will not care much about your UX design skills. I don't care about your interviewing skills. I don't care about your uh, data collection skills. I don't care about your insight identification skills. I don't care about all of that. I care about, then, okay, when you get the wireframes, right? How good are you able to uh, make actual UI design for those wireframes? How well do you understand user interactions, right? How well are you able to design a UI flow, right? Maybe like a payments flow, right? But I would rather you create three concepts where it's like a payment flow, and maybe like I don't know, some kind of um book a date for law interview, law something, right? But yeah, I would rather see like three UI design concepts over there than seeing your case study of problem statement and user interviews and all of that, because I want you to be really good at like one thing. Uh,
Okay. So like
yeah,
I wanted to ask like small animations and all this. Will that
yeah,
also have a positive impact on your recruiter
yeah, yeah,
and all
definitely,
this
definitely.
prototyping and all this?
The larger the company, right, the more specialization they're looking for. So a larger company would uh, there would be a lot of UI designers applying to them. So that then micro interactions and all would become a big differentiator, right? uh, because they would want to hire just like the best UI designer. But yeah, it would definitely make a big difference, especially now. Micro interactions and all these things are becoming more and more important for UI design, because it's getting easier to execute, and yeah, more people are getting into it. So then when you're concentrating, and also like from a portfolio perspective, if you see, right, very few people do it. Like very few people still do it. Like if I see 100 portfolios, I might see one or two UI design portfolios where the person has done micro interactions. So those ones will probably definitely get shortlisted, as long as the micro interactions are really good. So it shouldn't be that you can do micro interactions, but your UI design is then okay, and your micro interactions are also okay, right? Like there should be good micro interactions. Like if the micro interaction you create is going to be bad, but it's just a micro interaction, then I would rather not do it, right? Because then that will tell the person that your standard of design is uh, not that high, right? So I would rather just show really good work, right, than show different work, right? So I would not show micro interactions if I'm not able to make a really good micro interaction, right? Simple. It needs to be simple. It doesn't need to be like anything complicated, but it should be really good, right? The little bit of micro interaction that you do should be really good, right? We shouldn't like half-ass it where it's like not smooth or something like that. That would probably not look good.
So actually,
Yep.
right, I'm interested in that, and actually, right now, what I'm doing is because
Yeah.
I am not very skilled at coming up from the zero, right? So what I do
Yeah.
is I like to borrow little bit of ideas from different uh, apps or sites. So is it a good thing to do that, or I should like brainstorm on my from I should start from scratch. Right now I'm borrowing ideas from like different already like guys who are already doing good, right? So is it
Yeah.
good to do that, or I should start thinking from scratch?
No, both are good. Both are good. I think you can definitely take inspiration from other people while you're starting out. Yeah, then you can come up with your original stuff as well. But from the perspective of the recruiter, I doubt he's going to know whether it's like a original or whether you have copied it from somewhere. So I would say the smart thing to do is wherever you have the better idea. If you're getting a better idea from looking at some existing work, then I would go with that. If you are able to come up with a better idea by yourself, then I would go with that. But I would essentially go with whatever is the better idea, right?
Okay,
What,
whatever is which one,
yeah,
whatever is good, then go with that.
yeah, exactly. Like
Okay.
whatever is going to look better, right, is going to stand out more. I would just go with that.
Okay, so like what I'm getting is like instead of having a static page that is designed, it's good to have like a portfolio that has prototype and all the micro interaction already in it, like to stand out
Yeah,
from the crowd.
yeah, definitely. That would definitely like if you have a prototype, that would definitely, like, even for other UI designers, if you have a prototype of a flow, right, that would definitely differentiate you from other UI designers, because most UI designers just have like a screen flow, right? They
Okay,
don't have,
yeah.
they're not sharing like prototypes or anything. But if it's a working prototype, I immediately know that okay, this person is able to design good screens, and he also understands how the screen should flow from one screen to another screen. That reduces my doubt a lot. That gives me way more trust, right? Your whole the whole I would say aim of communicating while trying to get a job is to try and deliver as much trust um, as you can in that limited communication communication ability that you have. So that's why essentially referrals and all end up being so useful, because it delivers more trust, right? So the person basically gets a referral that, hey, this person's work is good. So then the person doesn't have to worry about, okay, will he be able to understand screen flows, and will he be able to, he kind of knows that, okay, somebody has told him that, okay, this person is good at designing, doing UI design, right? So now the trust is way higher, right? So you, as someone who does not have a referral, you need to deliver much more trust, right? In a much more limited communication channel, right? So it's about how do you uh, create that trust. And the more work you show, the more really good work you show, the more trust you will be able to build, right? It's as simple as that. So uh, you just create more work. Like if everyone's delivering like three concepts as a junior designer, and you deliver 20, like say you just take a month off and you just deliver like 20, you create like 20 concepts, it will be virtually impossible for you to not get hired, in my perspective.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Actually, why I asked this was because before this, I did an internship as a front-end developer, and while doing the internship, I realized that I was more interested in the UI stuff rather than like
Yeah,
hardcore coding. The reason
yeah,
why I got interested was, I like when I use the mouse, that tooltip comes up, right click, something happens. Like the
yeah,
mouse, whenever I use my mouse, the eyes are following the mouse, and always I was interested because of that. And
yeah,
right now, I see like projects on Behance, and they are very static, like very like bookish. So I found I
yeah.
that's why I wanted to ask: is it good to have like those kind of projects to like little stand out from the rest?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And these skills would be more niche, right? So it would be more in demand for larger companies, who want to deliver more than the usual UI stuff that any small company can deliver. Like if you go to larger companies, they will have one dedicated person just for micro interactions, right? So if you get really good at just micro interactions, you could get into, it would be easier for you to get into some of these larger companies, right?
Okay,
Because
thank you,
of
sir.
these
Thanks.
skills. Yep,
Thanks.
yep,
Thanks.
yes.
My doubt is like you just told him that you just told Abhishek that the more you work, the take a month off and work over like for 20 concepts, and others are doing for just two and three. And the same way earlier you said like uh keep it minimalist and work on just if I have your 10 ideas, and out of them five are good and four or five are not that good, so I would be confused as a recruiter to recruit you or not. So like these two points are very contradictory. Can you please just give a clarification on them?
Okay. So basically, what I'm saying is don't have any bad work, right? Only have really good work. So, okay, so let's put it like this. The lowest tier, right, is going to be 10 concepts where uh, five are good and five are bad, right? Better than that is having five good concepts, right? Removing the five bad ones. And better than that is having 20 good concepts, 20 really good concepts. Does that clear? So
Yeah,
like none
sure.
of them are bad, right? Where none of the work is bad, is what I'm saying, right? So all of them are like on par of today's uh, standard really good UI design work that you see, right? Like 20 concepts that look like what somebody who is say designing online is delivering, right? uh, that's essentially what I mean. Does that clear your doubt?
Yeah, but like how to know that your what you're building is really good, because how do you know yourself that?
Exactly. So you find people who are really good and who the industry accepts to be the best in the field, right? And make sure your concepts are at a similar level to their concepts, right? So from a UI design perspective, you can find a lot of these UI designers, right, who are on like Instagram, etc., who are getting a lot of social proof, a lot of likes, a lot of go to dribble, like look at stuff that is getting a lot of social proof, right? And then make sure your concepts are on par with those concepts, basically, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I have same question. Like, what do you mean by 20 concepts here? Like, you mean 20 case study or 20 posts or something? I don't
No,
understand concepts.
UI design concepts. So I'm saying if you're say applying for a UI design position, right? You could have UI design concepts, right? Also, I wouldn't say you don't need 20, right? But like you can have like 10, right? If everyone else is like say delivering five and you deliver 10 concepts, right? Like say uh, two pages, 2 or 3 2 pages of an app, right? Of say 3 pages of say a fintech app could be a concept, right? Three app screens, say 2 or 3 app screens of some food delivery app could be a concept, right? But things like that. So if you're specializing in banking or if you're kind of trying to focus on say HR or something like that, then make a lot of concepts related to that field, right? That would give you a bigger edge, right? Like if these 5 or 10 concepts, a lot of them are specializing in one particular industry that you really want to target and get into, right? I would say you could probably do that. But that's what I mean by concepts. Does that is that clear? What concepts is?
Okay, so
Or
concepts mean you're talking about like if you're want to, I just like you said, if you want to create fintech app, suppose if I'm creating fintech app, so it's like if I created 3 4 screens of fintech app, so that's one concept, or then another one if I'm creating app for food delivery, that's second. Did you
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, got it.
basically. I mean, it doesn't
Okay.
have to 3 4. It could be 2 screens, right? Or it could
Mm-hmm.
be 3 screens, depending on what you're trying to create, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so most of the
Like,
recruiters sees case study or just screens of app or something, because I believe case study mostly they prefer to see.
Like I said, it will depend on what they are hiring for. If they are hiring specifically for a UI design role, right? In my opinion, the case study is not that important then, right? If you're hiring for a specific UI design role. If you're hiring for a UX design role or a combination role where you expect the person to do UX design and UI design, then you would definitely look at the case study, right?
Okay.
So that's what it will depend on, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Also, I have one more question. Like, if recruiters hiring, suppose
Yeah.
UX UI designer, so what first thing they see in our portfolio? What they want to see first in
If they're
portfolio?
hiring a UI designer,
UX UI designer, or you can say UI UX, whatever you want to like.
like a mix, they're hiring like a mix.
Mix of both. Yeah. So, what exactly
Uh,
they see first in
you're
portfolio?
saying I'm hiring somebody who will do both UX and
Yeah.
UI design.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so first thing I would probably look at is the UI, right? The UI has to be it has to be good, right? Then I would probably look at the case study, the UX, that they have a good understanding. But both of them have to be good then, right? If either are bad, I would probably not go ahead with the candidate, right? But
Okay.
if you ask for order, for me personally, I would look at the UI first because that's much quicker for me to decide. I can just see it and I can say, okay, it's good or bad, right? Whereas for the case study, it will take me some time, right? So I would keep that for later.
Okay, but what if, like, suppose there are lots of people out there who has like really good UI, but you
Yeah.
know sometimes that UI is not practical, basically.
Yep.
So
Yep.
how can a recruiter identify, okay, if this is looking good, so they will hire that person? I mean, the main thing is that you have to be practical. It must be user friendly, business perspective wise also designed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so for that you must have knowledge of UX. Only
Yeah.
then
So
you can
again,
design like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again, what you're saying now is for somebody who's hiring for a UX and UI role, right? So it's
Yes,
going to do,
yes.
So basically same thing. I would first look at the UI, right, of all the things, of all the candidates. I would shortlist the ones that have good UI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go to the case studies of all of them and then see who has the best case studies, whose case studies and UX is better, right? And then I would probably go ahead with that candidate. So I would definitely look at the UX, but I would still look at the UI first because it's just quicker for me to eliminate over there, right? It's more difficult. I'm not going to read, you know, 500 case studies, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I could go through 500 UI concepts. And since it's a UI UX role,
Mm-hmm.
they have to be good at both, right? So being bad at either of them would eliminate, right?
Right, right.
So I would basically go and look at the UI first to eliminate over there because I can eliminate quicker over there, and then I would look at the UX part of it.
Okay, okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yep, yep. Uh, yeah. Anyone else? Anything else? Yep.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Abhishek. Can you?
Yeah, I'm a fresher. Basically, I have a doubt. It's like for a fresher, is it necessary to show the case studies for UI UX role, both role? Necessary to show the case studies in all the areas like mobile app, website, desktop application, smartwatch application like dashboard. Is it necessary we need to show the case studies in all these areas, or is it okay with a specific area?
I don't think it's necessary, but it's much better to have at least one web concept and one app concept, right? Because essentially all products that you will work on will have like one web and one app version of it. Majority of them. So yeah, you should definitely, I would say, have like one web version and one app version, right? I think that would make sense if you're going to spend time on it. Like it could, and it would be really nice if it was responsive and consistent. So if I could see that, same product, if it's built for say mobile and for web, right? That will also give me an idea of, okay, that you understand responsive design really well. But yeah, I think you should have web and app. I think those two are more than enough. You know, um, at least one concept of each. So meaning you could have like three app concepts and then one web concept, right? But all being really good, at least I know, okay, you can execute and you can do all of it, right? Or three web concepts and uh, yeah, I would say at least you probably won't have two of each, just to show that it's not a one time direct copy of some other concept or something, right? But yeah, I would say you want to have at least maybe uh, two of each. That should maybe help. Yeah,
Okay,
anything
then
else?
mm, the the same concept we can create responsive design, or else we need to create separate concept, separate problem statement for mobile and web.
Um, uh, Depends on you. One responsive, I'm saying it doesn't have to be the same, but if it is the same, it would be good. But you also need to keep in mind, if you're designing responsive, then it has to be done well. I feel like a responsive would be harder for you than to create a completely new concept, right? A completely different
Okay.
new concept you can create from scratch. It doesn't
Yeah,
need to work on both. But if you do responsive, then everything needs to work properly, everything needs to make sense, right? It will be
yeah.
easier for the recruiter to identify that this person doesn't know what they are doing. So that's the call you kind of need to take. Yeah,
Okay,
but if you do a responsive that works really well, that would definitely give you an edge. Like uh, as a recruiter, I would probably see that as a plus.
okay. My last
Yeah.
question: as a fresher, how many case study portfolio needs for fresher?
Case study, as in, again, now what we are saying is case study with for UX UI kind of. I would say three really good case studies is enough. I mean, even one really good case study could get you hired, right? Like, say if it's say I am a health tech company. Like, I've seen this happen in the past also, right? And you have created one really good case study of health tech, say some kind of workout app, right? Uh, and you've created like one really great case study for a workout app, and you send it to a company that is creating a workout app. Then one case study might also be enough. But other than that, I would say three really good case studies is good, right? But then that's what I'm saying. Everyone will be delivering 2, 3 case studies. So having 5 really good case studies would make you stand out, right? So it's about how desperate are you to stand out, right? Uh, how much effort are you willing to put in? That's what it is. But I would say like 3 really good case studies would suffice.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Thank you for your insights. And also, is there a companies which focusing on a specific niche related products?
Sorry, what? Companies?
Is there are companies like they are focusing on specific niche related products like health related products and
Yeah.
fintech related products. Like,
Yeah.
companies are like existing.
Yeah, there are so many such companies, right? Like like even in India, there's like Cult Fit and all these, right? That health tech. They're all unicorns. They're all billion-dollar companies. So these are huge opportunities. Even in health tech, there's so many billion-dollar companies doing different health-related things, like maybe wholesale e-com for what is it? Uh, Medical product logistics. There is one like that in India that does, it's a billion-dollar company. There's pretty much every niche you can think of, which is why I think pretty much every background that anyone has will probably have a big tech related company in that field. Will probably have like tens of tech related companies in that field. right? Any industry you pick. But there's a lot. There's a lot for pretty much every field.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Anyone else? Any more questions? Please do ask. Okay.
Sir? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
by concepts, mean like one flow, is one flow considered a concept or
Concept can be anything. Look, concept can be one screen, right? It can be one screen. It can be two, three screens, a set of screens, right? Uh, but yeah, it's different. It's one concept is one idea, right? So then the idea can be uh, fintech app screen, right? Or fintech app screen. It can just be one screen, or it can be multiple screens, right? How in depth you want the concept to be, that's up to you, right? But I think it could just be single pages as well, right? It could just be single screens, right? Like one really good screen, right?
okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, any okay, someone, okay, I'm just going through the comments. Interview journey थोड़ा इसके- Can you please give any suggestions for preparing interviews that we cannot face? Okay, also you need to understand my interview journey was very long because I didn't have any really good concepts or any work portfolio. I just had these two websites that I had coded, so the design looked really bad, right? Uh, it looked really bad, but they were happy that I had kind of gone out of the way and I had a bit of a entrepreneurial spirit to kind of get things done. But from a UI design perspective, I had uh, I had zero work in my portfolio that was related to banking or related to any of the fields that they were designing for, right? If I had had that, it would have been shorter. And like I said, because I had zero design, after I did so, basically I had like a day long interview where I basically sketched all the solutions with a pencil on the paper, right? So to wireframe level. Then they gave me 1 week to learn all the UI tools and everything to deliver a solution. And if I was not able to deliver, then they would have probably not gone ahead with me. But yeah, I spent a lot of time learning online and basically then finally executed the thing, and they were happy with the output. That's where it essentially then was successful. How do you land up getting your first job after having 7+ years of experience in graphic design? If you see the market, every company is asking at least 1 year experience in UI UX. Doing internship is not a problem, but then you get paid less. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think internships are really useful. I think you're much better off creating a really good case study and really good UI design concepts over internship. Like I have never chosen a person with the internship over somebody with better work. Right now, in the time of portfolios in the design field, I think you just need to have a really good portfolio, right? I think that's what I would spend my time on. But yeah, as a 7 years of experience in graphic design, you could definitely also show your graphic design work in your portfolio. Just the good work. Like I'm saying, if you have like hundreds of graphic design pieces, you don't want to show all of them. Just show like the 10 good ones, right? Primary goals or objectives we aim to achieve with the design. Primary goal of any design is essentially uh, increasing um, most in most cases it's just increasing This is my perspective, obviously, but I think it's to increase revenue, company revenue, right? You do that, everything essentially ends up uh, aggregating into that. Is your design finally having some value, and is it affecting the company top line or not? What are the, yeah, then starting out your journey, what kind of portfolio? Okay, this we answered. Can we do internship or can we directly jump? Internships are good. Internships are good, but you can definitely also directly jump to a job. You know, if you have like a really good portfolio of non-real work. But an internship with really good work would definitely give you an edge, right? That's for sure. Um, but yeah, if you just have an internship and you don't have a great portfolio, then that's probably not going to help you much. Yeah, some tips for interview. Some tips for interview. I don't know. I don't have too many tips for. I think I've said a bit of what I felt would help with the interview. And your question, I think we've gone through. What's the difference between UX designer and product designer? Um, there's no difference between a UX designer and product designer. Um, it's the same thing. It's just a lot of product designers tend to not do user research, so they will not do user interviews and stuff like that, and that will end up being done by like the product manager, right? But yeah, it's all, the roles are all different. Like some product designers will do user interviews as well, and it's very interchangeable. It's basically just naming conventions. It's like, what do you want to present yourself as, you know? um Tell me how to crack the interview. Yeah, I think I've said a lot about how to crack the interview. Like I think if you have like good portfolio and stuff, half the work is done. How much earnings can we expect as a fresher? Not sure. It's very different. It can vary depending on, where you're trying to work, where you're trying to apply. Chances of getting remotely hired after completion of the course, I think it's very good. I think a lot of companies are moving to remote work now. So yeah, and I think companies are like less scared and less worried about hiring people abroad and stuff. So definitely, I think I yeah, I think it's very viable. But then a lot of companies are also going to physical work now, so it's a mix. But I think both are possible. Uh, Remote work is definitely very possible, especially for design, because you can see the work. It's very easy to hire remote employees. About the concepts you told, does have UX part and concepts are for new problem statements or the existing apps, and using gradient colors. It can be for anything. It can be a existing app, or it can be like a new idea or something. But the main thing from the UI design perspective is um, it needs to look really good, and from a interaction perspective, it should work well. Like you want to make sure buttons look good and buttons look clickable, and the person can see, where this button will take me, say when I click. But that kind of stuff, right? So visual level stuff should be good. Do UI UX designers need to learn different tools or get specialized in Figma? No, you pretty much need to just learn the best tool, and the best tool right now is Figma. Few years ago, the best tool was Sketch. So, what is the best tool? You should essentially learn that. Other than that, I think it's mainly about having a good understanding of what looks good and what works really well, right? The tool doesn't matter much. Like essentially, the tools are all the same. Like it shouldn't take you more than 2-3 days to pick up a new tool. Yeah. Any other questions? That's all the questions I think in the chat as well. So, anything else you want me to say? Go through anything that might help you out?
I have a question.
Yep.
What is the procedure of applying for an internship in your firm?
What is, sorry, what is?
Procedure for applying for internship in your company.
So to be very honest, we are not hiring any interns right now, right? Because it doesn't make sense for me to hire interns because it's just it will be more work for me, right? I would rather hire a full-time person who I know that okay, once I teach them, they will stay with me for some time at least, you know, and then we work together. But yeah, so we don't really have any internship opportunities right now or any plans, right? If I saw that somebody is, has like a good portfolio, we would probably just look to hire them full time. We don't have any openings right now, but probably in a month we probably will be hiring one or two designers. But yeah, that's how I see it. I feel like I don't know, I don't understand the whole point of internships because I feel like if the person is good, I would probably just hire them, right? From perspective of internship, maybe if I would probably do it just to help people out, right? That's something we are definitely open to, but I don't think you really need a internship. I think um, I think having a good portfolio really in the design field uh, would be way more valuable than internship, right? Just like coming up with a good concept and then executing it really well, right? Because that's the whole thing. You're able to communicate, right? It's about somebody who does not know you at all. How do you communicate that you are good at the work you want you want to do for them? So internship is one way uh, that you can show okay, you're good at the work. But the thing is, in the design field, especially from a UI design perspective, you can show your work literally on the screen. Like you can literally just make it and you can show it to them. So then you don't need to get that internship per se, right? From a UX design perspective, um, it might be more helpful because okay, the internship will come up with a real life problem and all of that for you. But you could very well come up with a real life problem by yourself, some real life problem that is happening in your community or around you, and solve that instead of taking a internship, right? The whole point of an internship is it gives you a real life problem to solve, right? But you could very well do that for some real life problem that is currently happening in the real world, right? So maybe I don't know, maybe you go to buy groceries from like a local market and you face some problem. You could literally solve that and make a UX case study, right? And yeah, and you could probably say you did like a internship for that vegetable seller, and you came up with this solution to improve his sales or something like that. uh,
So to rephrase my question, how can I apply for a designer position in your company?
Designer position in my company. So when we have openings, we try to communicate it on like all our social media, especially on LinkedIn and all. So I would say you can probably follow LinkedIn and stuff. Uh, and when we have openings, you will probably find out and you all can apply and maybe reach out personally or something as well, right? Uh, that's I would say that the company name is Make Create basically. So we basically combined make and create, and we ended up with the word Make Create. But yeah, you can check out the website as well. It's makecreate.com. Yeah, but hopefully it would definitely be nice to work with some of y'all if that happens. Uh, uh, LinkedIn ID, it's Murtaza Khalil. I don't know. Wait, maybe I should just share a link of the website and then you all can probably just like it has the company social media. Yeah, but then through the company social media, you could probably find my social media as well. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, so I've just shared the company website, right? But yeah, you all should get a lot of the detail from there, and then probably through that you all should be able to find, uh, yeah, my LinkedIn and stuff as well. Let me go back. Yeah, any other questions? Any other questions, guys?
Yeah,
I just
actually, could you please share your LinkedIn ID?
My LinkedIn ID here. Wait, let me find my LinkedIn ID. That's it. Give me a second. Um,
actually I just wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on AI with UI and UX?
AI with UI and UX, I think it's pretty cool. Like from a UX UI perspective, you're able to do way more now. From a UX perspective, also you're able to do way more now. From a UX perspective, a lot of the boring stuff is being replaced, right? Like things like you do a user interview. Uh, Initially, we used to have to record user interviews, then we would transcribe the entire user interview, then you would have to remove insights for user interviews. All that can be automated with AI now, right? Because there's like transcription software, there is chat GPT for removing insights, there's all of that. So yeah, you can do a lot of that. So AI is definitely changing the landscape, right? With regards to UX and UI. But yeah, I think you still need people to execute everything. Yeah, I think too many people are not using AI, right? I've already shared my LinkedIn ID, so if anyone wants, I think. Um, Yeah, and yeah, I think definitely if you pay attention to AI, right, and maybe in your case study you have, hey, I automated this part of the UX design process with AI, that will probably help you stand out a lot, right? Y'all could even have like a, maybe you could uh, differentiate your case study as a AI enabled UX design case study where you try to use AI to supplement each part of the process, right? Yeah, I shared my LinkedIn ID on the chat already. It's like linkedin.com. I hope you'll have found it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I got it.
yep. So that's what's happening with AI. I would say AI is pretty good, especially from a UI perspective. It's being used a lot. Like a lot of.
Do you
Yep.
mind sharing it again? Because I couldn't find it in the chat.
Okay. Okay. 1 second. Let me just see. Okay, I think it's 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Okay, let me share. Okay, things should be visible now. Yeah, any other questions?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes, Abhijit.
Yeah, so I have one plus experience in graphic designing. Okay, so the
Okay.
thing is that can I add some of my good works to my UIX portfolio, or it will look odd if I add my graphics work in my.
Or graphic design work? Yeah, if you have like some really good work, I would add it. It's definitely a plus. It shows that you have some, you are able to make good visuals. I would see it as a plus. I would see it as a plus.
Okay,
Definitely. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and something related to motion design, motion graphic design.
Yep, that would be great. Like a lot of uh, like any person hiring for UI design will see you having motion graphic design skills as a big plus.
Oh,
I would
okay, okay,
definitely put it as a big plus. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because even clients love it when UX UI design projects have motion design in it. right? It makes the product or the the consulting firm, whoever's delivering the work, stand out. So I think, yeah, anything that makes you stand out from the norm, right,
Okay.
will be a big plus, right?
Okay, then I will add it.
Yep.
Also, I just looked
Um,
at your uh, LinkedIn work
Yes.
experience, which shows like you have a like variety of you've done lots of work with different organizations, and very frequently have changed. I mean, any specific reason for that? Like in this field, you have worked with some for like 2 months and 3 months, and then
No, no, not really. My first job was like 3 years. Then I worked with a product company for 1 year. Then I did, I believe, one or two contracts for 1 to 2 months, and then I started my own company. But the first job that I did for 3 years was a consultancy. So essentially, at that consultancy, we would work with different clients. So I worked with like 10 different clients over there, which is why there is a lot of varied experience. But uh, yeah, and even the second job that I had, right? Uh, yeah, that was the one thing. Definitely, being at one place for 3 years helped me get the second job very easily. And the second job, of course, we had to leave because it was like a startup, and the startup was like pivoting a lot and stuff. And I wanted to basically work on something else and reroute. So that's when I left that place, right? But it was like a very mutually agreed upon thing, right? If they wanted me to stay, I would have definitely continued over there as well. Yeah, and then I did contracts because same thing, like I don't know, this is a very personal preference that I have, but I like to stay at a place for like 2 3 years, if I'm going to join him, because also for me it was like I had this entrepreneurial kind of mindset where I knew that I want to start my own company eventually. So I didn't want to make like the people I was working for, I didn't want to make their life tough as well. So yeah, so then I did contracts. I did one or two contract jobs because I didn't want to join something full time, right? And then yeah, then I decided basically over there that no, I want to start my own thing. So then I didn't join a full-time job, but that's how I got a lot of experience, was because I worked for a consultancy, right? And that consultancy, like one of their key clients was like banking, banks and fintechs and stuff like that. So me having some banking background and all definitely helped me over there. So even in the projects while we were doing the work, uh, I was able to understand problems and all that a lot of the clients were facing much faster than, say, some of my colleagues who didn't have that much in-depth understanding of banking, right? They would have to probably read much more. But yeah, that gave me a good edge, and that made me a good asset for that company as well, right? Yep. Any other question?
according, okay, can
Sorry, what?
can I ask the question?
Yeah, please. Good.
According to you, how should be the perfect portfolio and on which platform it should be?
Perfect portfolio. Perfect portfolio. Okay, so perfect portfolio, what kind of job are you trying to apply? First, let me know that. Is it a
UI
UI
UX,
job? It's a
both.
mix. It's a mix,
Yeah.
right? Uh, I would say perfect portfolio would be, hmm, um, I would say three really good, or so no, so I would say 3 or 4 really good case studies, right? Uh, with UI design output as well, which is really good, as well as 5 UI design concepts, right? And I would probably put all of it on Behance, right? Because from especially like when you're applying, when you're recruiting through LinkedIn and stuff, Behance, basically going through work on Behance is very easy, right? Uh, or I would have my own website, right? And I would try to keep the navigation of my own website similar to Behance, right? Uh, but yeah, you could have your own website that also should look really good, because if you have a website, not only will you be judged on your work, you will also be judged on your website, right? But yeah, I think Behance would suffice. Like a lot of people that I have shortlisted, because I have probably gone through like 1 or 2 thousand resumes, portfolios, but Behance people definitely get shortlisted a lot. People with their own websites get shortlisted a lot. Website will definitely help you stand out. Uh, like I remember, like one of the really good portfolios that I was really impressed by. We wanted to hire that person, but unfortunately, we were not able to. She had like a really good website. Like it was very different, and it was also executed really well. And even the navigation and everything was executed really well. And she had built it on, I think, Webflow or something. Um, but yeah, that's I would say one way to stand out, right? Um, Yup. And other than that, from a CV perspective, also you probably want your CV or your resume to be like, what I have seen that works really well is your if you have a website, then your CV or resume being having a consistent design language, that will really help you stand out. Almost like having a personal brand, where okay, your website also has that personal brand, your CV resume also has that personal brand. uh, Maybe your case study designs also reflect your personal brand. That I think would make sense.
But if
Hello.
one doesn't have the coding knowledge, so how can he or she will be able to build a website for the portfolio? Then in that case, like what all things we should do?
Oh yeah, Webflow and Wix and all don't require any coding. You can just build a. It's for designers. This person was a designer. They didn't have any coding knowledge. So you all should check out. They're basically no-code tools that you can use to build like a portfolio, right?
Okay.
Hello.
Or
Yeah.
Behance is Behance works really well. You don't need a website.
Am I audible?
Yeah, Priyanka, go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, I want to ask that you're talking about the personal website. So, is it okay that the website will be done in the WordPress?
Yeah, definitely. WordPress would be fine as well. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's the output, like what looks good, in the end. Like WordPress, Wix, like the recruiter won't care what you've created it on. They will care, since you're a designer, what it looks like. But that's the challenge with a website. If you're going to have a website, then you need to spend time to make sure everything works really well. It shouldn't be
Uh,
breaking. Yeah,
so
and you need to. Yeah.
if I done some other website on WordPress, so can I include that in my portfolio as well? The WordPress
Um,
work.
yeah, if you're proud of it. If you're proud of it from a design perspective, then yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Or you can include it and be very clear that, hey, I did not know much design when I built this. And be very careful about explaining the fact that, hey, this was built like 3 years ago, and this newer stuff is built right now, right? So have some kind of timeline where it becomes very clear that, okay, the older concepts were not looking that great because they're older, and all the newer concepts are much better. Yep.
No, actually, I have done some real-time websites for my client, so that's why I'm asking that. So, can I add that in my UIX portfolio?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's all plus. Like I said, even my first job, right? I showed them these two websites that I had kind of coded and designed and then coded. Uh, that gave them some more idea of my work, right? That's definitely a plus, I would say. It's always good. Like if you're a graphic designer, good to show your graphic design work. If if you've been working in law for a year, I would definitely mention that. Like, for example, I also mentioned that I had worked in a hedge fund and all of that. So since they happen to be very much designing products for fintechs and banking and all, they saw all of that as a big plus, that I have all this background, right? Yeah, any other questions?
Thank you.
As a fresher in the interview, we have to show them anything practically on Figma, or will they ask only theory-based questions? It will really depend on your role and on who the recruiter is, right? Like, larger recruiters have multiple interview rounds. You know, they will have like 2-3 questioning rounds, then they will probably have like one practical round, right? So depending on that, it will. But yeah, you like, if it's a UX UI design role, you'll have to be good at all of that, you know. But yeah, the main thing is uh, do a lot of work, apply for a lot of jobs, and yeah, do a lot of interviews, and then you just need to like get into the field once, right? After that it's about, okay, and then consistently delivering good work, right? Getting the job is not the win. Yeah, that's what I would say uh, you all need to do. But from my perspective, yeah, the biggest edge you all can get is like, make a really good portfolio, because that is visible proof that you are good at your work. And we are in a very unique field where you can show how good your work is, you know. uh, most other fields, it's very difficult to show your work right out of college, right? You can't be a lawyer right out of college and be like, I'm a very good lawyer. No, then people are going to like look at your marks and your education and stuff like that, right? Because there's nothing else to judge. But for designers, you can literally just show your design work, and your education and all becomes irrelevant, right? uh yeah, cool. I guess anything else, or should we wrap it up then?
I think we can wrap it up now. Thanks a lot, Murtaza, for such an amazing and insightful session. Right. I hope everybody has got a lot of insights from here. And as you have already stressed, and we also keep on stressing on the same thing, that before you think about salaries, before you think about remote or anything, you need to focus on your work, right? Because the more better you get at it, the more better portfolio you make, the chances keeps on increasing, right? So
Yep.
yeah, so I hope everybody will start focusing on their work and not a lot on the end goal, but to reach there, there is a bridge which you need to focus on, and that is your portfolio, right? So make sure you implement all the insights which you have gotten now, right? Yeah. So thanks a lot, Murtaza, and thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was good to, for me also, to find out what my opinion is on things, because a lot of things you don't understand about yourself till you're asked a question about it and makes you think. So yeah, same for you all with design, right? So once you start creating portfolios and all, that will create it will create your own unique design opinion for you, right? And then that is what will finally build you into your own designer. So yeah, I would say just start creating work. Yeah, that will essentially get you where you need to be.
Okay, thank you. Thanks
Cool.
a lot.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. And all the best. All the best. All the
Thank
best
you.
for
Thank you.